Hi, I'm Joel. Great to be with you today. The author Joseph Campbell wrote, "Where you stumble, there lies your treasure. Where you stumble, there lies your treasure." In this episode of the Path of Totality, we are continuing our conversation from last time about moving from the house of fear to the house of love. Jim Finley is a trauma therapist and an author. And he says that when he was a boy, his dad was a violent alcoholic. He used to beat him and his mom at intervals when he was under the influence. And so he said it was just a very kind of a threatening environment to grow up in. And one night before bed, his mom said to him, "Jim, pray for help." So he did. He prayed very seriously to God for help in their situation. And he said, during the night, in a dream, God appeared to him. And he took Jim into a safe room or a safe space. And it was a place where he was relieved of his fears, and he just felt that he was held and everything was okay. So he woke up and he said, ever after that, if the situation in his home was getting out of control and threatening, he was somehow able to remember that safe interior place and kind of retreat into it. But he would, in doing this, he would dissociate with his environment and go within. And he said, really, he was very grateful to have this coping device to help him get through his boyhood, but also that he took this habit of dissociating when things got too threatening and going inside. He took this habit into his adulthood so that when things around him seemed a little bit out of control, he would retreat inside, but sometimes felt that in doing that, he let people down that he wasn't present to. And he said this happened repeatedly in his adult life. And it happened once when he was about 60 years old. Once again, he retreated into this safe place, kind of was not present to some people in the situation who needed him. And afterwards, he just felt so guilty about this. And he said, "I said to God, Lord, do you think I will ever get my act together?" And he said some words were impressed on his mind that he took to be from God. And those words were, "I don't see it coming, Jim. I don't see it coming, to be honest with you." And when Finley tells this story, he laughs. Maybe like you and I are laughing a little bit when we hear this story, because there is a truth in it that we recognize and we respond to. And it almost feels comforting to just acknowledge that, we never really will get our act fully together. And this is more than okay, because my inability to get my act together, to get all the details under control, to achieve the ideal I project, holds a treasure. And the treasure is in the opportunity to release an old paradigm, an old way of thinking about my life that says, I'm only okay, I'm only safe if I can get my act together, if I can get all my details under control. To release that way of thinking about my life, which has never worked well for me anyway, and to risk instead living inside a new way to think about my life. And this way of thinking about my life springs from and is supported in sentiments like this from the New Testament. God is love. Whoever lives in love lives in God and God in them. This paradigm says that I'm safe inside the house of love today, at this moment, just as I am. I anchor myself again and again and again inside this most fundamental reality. In the end, this is what our lives are reduced down to anyway. as our strength declines, as our sideways ways of navigating life are taken away from us one by one, this is where we arrive. This need to rest ourselves inside God's mercy. And so in a way, why wait? Why not begin to live inside this paradigm now? The author Gerald May puts it this way. He says, if we do not fill our minds with guilt and self-recriminations, we will recognize our incompleteness, that is, our lack, our gaps, our inability to get our act together. We'll recognize this incompleteness as a kind of spaciousness into which we can welcome the flow of grace. If things like this feel important to you and you'd like to explore them further, you can click a link below this video. It'll take you to a couple of simple activities that can help stabilize inside you this most important truth, that you are held safely by God today in the house of love. So glad to be with you like this today. I look forward to being with you again soon.